we are, with COVID, living in interesting times, and it hasn't been a good time for anyone, I think. And I'm recording this in August 2021, and life in the UK is a little bit getting back to normal, but it's not really normal. And obviously, a lot of things have been quite difficult. Buying cameras is not like it used to be, and I haven't been to a car boot sale for about a year, perhaps a year and a half. Well, last Sunday I did go to a car boot sale, and I found a camera. It wasn't in the cleanest of condition, but I was quite interested in seeing if it worked, and the shutter fired really well, so I thought, let's see how we get on with this. And this was the camera, and this is a King Pacer camera from 1972. King was a West German camera manufacturing company that made good quality 35mm cameras, a bit like Decor. And when we look at these cameras in the 1960s, the materials are normally very high quality, but by the time you get to the 1970s, the materials aren't quite as good, because they're basically trying to cut manufacturing costs, and that is typical of this camera. This is an extremely basic camera. It, as I said, dates from 1972. It has a 40mm 2.8 Reflex lens. It is very plastic in form, and when we open it, we can see that plastic continues inside. This is not actually a light meter, it's a false panel. This is an extremely basic camera. These were sold in places such as Boots, and you quite often got, and I think in Germany, a few department stores stocked these and branded them by their own name. But I put in a film, and I was pleased with the results. One of the strange things about this camera is how the aperture and shutter speeds are linked. For example, at f16 we are at 300th of a second. We are at 300th of a second with f11, but then we have a choice of f11 at 1/5 of a second. We can do 8 at 1/5, 5.6, and then it goes on to 60th, and the 30th 2.8. So it's impossible to have a high shutter speed and a large open aperture as 2.8. I have never encountered that on a camera before. And in some senses it makes sense, because you want higher, when you've got lots of sun you need a higher shutter speed, and when you've got lower sun and when it's duller you often need a lower shutter speed. So there's a link there. And it's very easy to use, except you would need to know how the f-stops relate to the light, but you can use the Sunny 16 if it's Sunny f16. And that is great. The viewfinder's quite bright. Being all plastic, it is extremely light in the hand. Little counter on the back here, not on the top. You've got a hot shoe here as well, and that is all there is to it. Now, how did I get on when I took it out for a film? Let's have a look. The first photograph is of Morton Church, which has incredible windows, engraved windows. However, it was evening and the church was not open. Never mind. This is looking towards Morton House, and it's quite nondescript, but I wanted that nondescriptness, and unfortunately the sign saying private I don't think has come out, but that was something I was hoping for. And this lane, it's owned by a family called Frampton, and unfortunately if you go to church you can't park there. They don't like you parking there. This was a family whose great ancestors actually sent the tall bottle martyrs to Australia. The village is very pretty. It's still owned by the family. Used to be the post office. Unfortunately, it's now closed, but it still has the post box, which is a good feature, and the telephone box, which I don't think is any longer used and is in a bit of despair. But there we have something called a finger post, and a finger post is like a signpost, but it has the name of the village at the top, and it also has the grid reference. And you can see there where we are. We are in Moreton, and those places are those distances. The camera, how is the camera performing? Well, I think it's performing extremely well. This is a very cheap camera, but with the focusing lens and quite a fast lens. Remember, this is not ideal conditions. I am filming in evening light. It's about 7:30 on August evening in the UK, where the light is not very good. It's not brilliant if I sort of go into the light, but most of the photographs are, I think, coming out quite well. And I'm not minding the darkness, because I think sometimes the darkness gives mood, and it's a bit like mist. We don't have to take photographs in bright sunlight. It's good to take photographs in a variety of conditions and weathers. This is what we call Longbridge, which is well maintained by the Frampton family. I quite like the stillness. It was very still this evening when I went down to Moreton. And as I said, I'm using Kent Mill 100 here, which I have developed in ID11 for 11.5 minutes. And as I said, I was really pleased with the results. And we go back to the phone box here. Oh, it has actually got a telephone in. I remember when these were really common. It's quite rare to find So I was trying to get the feeling of this village. I think it worked well in black and white. I think it works okay with the camera. Actually performed moderately well. So if you do find one of these cameras, don't just dismiss it as a sort of very cheap piece of plastic. It's actually a usable camera that you can, I think, get reasonable results from. And it's extremely light, so it will fit in a rucksack, and it is good as a travelling companion. So, as I said, Pacer 35K, a camera not to dismiss lightly. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.